Welcome to 15 Minute Theatre, the only review show that squeezes a whole production into 900 seconds. The date is the 24th of June 2019, and James has just been to see The Sting. Open the house. Hello, Jim Bobolob.
Hello, Vicky.
How are you?
I'm very well. How are you?
Oh, I'm perfectly fine, thank you.
Oh.
What's happening? What's occurring? What have you been to see?
Yeah, well, I had to go on my own, didn't I?
What happened?
Well, in a nutshell, we didn't realise it was going to start at 7 o'clock as opposed to 7:30, so you couldn't make it.
Well, it was quite far away from where I work.
It was quite far. In fact,
Yes.
it was in Roehampton.
Yes.
Ibstock School, no less.
In the theatre in Ibstock School?
Yes.
Oh, jolly good, jolly good.
Yeah, I went to see a play called The Sting. Could you give us a little information about it?
Okay, so obviously I haven't seen it. It looks like it was been adapted from a number of different things.
Mm-hmm.
So it's been adapted from Roald Dahl's The Witches. David Wood adapted that one.
So who's it written and directed by, I suppose, was my question.
Well, it was written and directed by Kelly Quick. I nearly called her Kelly Philpott. She's
I've heard
Kelly
about that
Quick,
before.
who is a friend of ours.
She knows what she's talking about.
Yeah. So basically, this thing looks like it was based on The Witches, Lord of the Flies, Emile and the Detectives, In the Bleak Midwinter, and so they weren't, but judging by this, they weren't all adapted by Kelly. Some of them were, some of them weren't.
Well, let me tell you, for nothing, exactly what happened. It was set in a boarding school, and a group of children broke into the old disused library.
Goodness.
Where they set up a kind of book club, a midnight book club, and there were stories of ghosts around this school. And,
They're quite geeky kids, aren't they?
and they brought...
There's nothing wrong with books. I read a lot of books.
They brought the books to life.
Did they?
Yes, so they all chose. There was a competition. They chose an area. So the first book they brought to life was Matilda.
Yeah.
And I have to say, it was brilliant. I know I've just said it, but I have to say the children performing, the quality of acting was phenomenal.
Was it?
Yeah, there wasn't a weak person on the stage. They were confident, they were clear, their characters were well devised, and it was funny. So hats off to whoever wrote it.
All the people wrote it.
Yes.
So what was the staging like?
Okay, so they used two kind of bookcases,
Yeah.
which were kind of flat, which they could move around and turn around and stuff.
Yeah.
So it was very atmospheric. They had like ghostly people popping up everywhere.
Oh. Did you get scared?
A little bit, maybe.
Oh.
Maybe a little bit.
Oh.
I just really thoroughly enjoyed it.
I'm looking through your list of things to talk about.
Okay.
What?
So can I talk? So we talked a little bit about Matilda.
You can just say whatever you want.
Okay. So the premise was all these. There was about 8 or 9 children in the book club who kind of held the stories together. So it kept coming back to them, and they were all very funny. Like one of them loved Harry Potter. One of them loved the Hunger Games. One of them didn't like books, and his name was Henry, and he was horrid, and everyone kept calling him Horrid Henry.
Oh, how mean.
It was very good. And then it moved from Matilda into, I want to say, Lord of the Flies.
Yeah, that's in here.
Yeah, Lord of the Flies, which was a very serious, dark piece. And they chose like a 10-minute section from the book.
The Lord of the Flies is pretty dark, yeah.
Yeah, and it was. So it really kind of helped. It worked going from very funny to quite dark.
Did they do the kill the pig bit?
It did do. No, they did the kill piggy bit.
Yeah, it's horrible, isn't it?
Yeah, and that was very effective as well. And then they did something called Emile the Detective, which I didn't know very much about. Really.
I've never heard of that.
No, I hadn't. But it was very good. Again, very different, more naturalistic, I'd say. because I didn't know it, it was hard for things to stand out. But it was an enjoyable piece.
Good.
And then finally, they did something which was called In the Bleak Midwinter. It's basically about carol singers. And every time and they stole some money, and every time the carol singers stopped singing, these zombies would appear.
Oh.
So they had to keep singing all the way through the night.
That sounds great.
I loved it. It wrapped up, it was nice, it was quick, it was funny.
Yeah.
The characters were brilliant.
Was there anything you didn't like about it?
It was quite hot.
Is that the fault of the people in the play?
It's the fault of the people that they didn't turn the air conditioning on. It was quite fancy theatre.
Okay, so quite hot.
Yeah, quite hot. Do you know what? There wasn't anything I didn't like about it. It was, you know, these kids are putting a hell of a lot of effort.
Yeah.
And the director had done a wonderful job, and you can see how much they enjoyed it. But, you know, sometimes you see kids on stage and they're waiting for their lines and things like that. They weren't doing that. They were acting, they were reacting, and it was very engaged and very clever, and good on them.
That's wonderful. Were there any lighting and special effects?
Well, they had a really nice concept at the start where they lit up their faces with light gloves. Don't know what these were, but they were cool.
Light glove. James is showing me his hands.
Flashing hands.
They're not flashing. He's just putting his fingers up and down.
Yeah, well, I don't know how light gloves work.
Okay.
And there was a really good pig's head that they used. It was great. It was lovely.
Sound of music?
Well, they did some singing. I think they had a bit of music. Can't really remember a lot of music, really, to be honest.
Okay, fine. And what were your standout moments? Or moment?
There were some really strong performances, and I'm going to name 3 people, if you don't mind.
You can name whoever you like.
I thought the Chief Witch... Oh, and there was a really good way of doing that, which
Yeah.
I won't spoil, but really clever, inventive way of how the witch changed from being beautiful to ugly. So the Chief Witch, hats off to her. I also very, very, very much liked the girl who played Matilda as one of the people. She stood out for me. And also the guy who played the head teacher at the end, he was very good. But I don't want to take away from the rest of the young people because they're all very brilliant. It's a talented group. And I suggest if you should keep your eyes out, and because these are the actors of the future, Vicky.
Okay.
But we're not going to score it because I don't think it's fair.
We're not going to score it because they're not professionals, and it's not fair to put them up against the professional theatre people.
Absolutely.
I did what's coming up after this one in the last podcast. We're going to see Sweat.
Ooh.
The Donmar transferred to the West End.
Ooh.
Had very good reviews, so looking forward to that.
Well, I hope it's got air conditioning, so it's called Sweat.
I hope it's not actually sweaty.
Yeah. Cool
so,
your theatres.
Yeah. So, hang on. What's that noise?
Oh.
What is it?
Oh, you know what it is.
It's a theatre bell. Well, that means we've run out of time on this one, but well done, Kelly Quick and all your students. And thank you very much for listening, everyone. I've been Vicky.
Yes, you have. And I've been James.
Good night.
Good night. You didn't say the thing.
What? I'm saying it now.
How did you? Hello there, only me again. I'm just dropping an extra bit into this podcast because the director contacted me just to clear a few things up, and I really think I need to mention them. The first one is apparently I keep mentioning Matilda when it was a witches. I meant there was a girl who was in it called Matilda, who I thought really stood out. So I think that's what I was talking about. But it was an adaptation of The Witches. Also, can I point out that the wonderful Kelly Quick wrote the whole play, and she adapted all of the scenes from the books. So it's all down to her. So well done, Mrs. Quick. I think also that said there wasn't very much music, or I couldn't remember it. There were actually 3 songs, and I do remember one of the songs because one of the dance routines really made me laugh. So wonderful singing, so apologies for that. And just to point out once again that although I pointed out some of the actors, and this is me, this isn't from Kelly Quick's comments, but all of the actors were brilliant. although some of them really kind of, I wanted to point out a couple. I thought they were all fantastic. So apologies for my rather slapdash review, and I hope that clears a few things up. Take care. See you next time. Bye.
If you're brave enough to have your theatre production reviewed, please contact us at 15minutetheatre@gmail.com. Find us on Twitter and please rate and review us on iTunes. Thanks for listening.